By twilight, the two men lay side by side on the grass, faces covered by handmade lead masks. A notebook listed capsules, a signal, protection for metals. The device never appeared. Welcome to the lead mask case, Brazil 1966, a hillside in Niterói, two technicians, and a set of notes that promised a signal no one witnessed. Tonight, we trace the steps, the tests, and the void where answers should be. Technicians of Campos Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel José Viana were not outsiders to the tools and tones of transmission. In the coastal town of Campos dos Goitacazes, Brazil, the two men built a quiet reputation as skilled electronics technicians, repairing radios, crafting circuits, and occasionally taking orders from neighbors eager to keep their shortwave sets alive in the age of tubes and copper thread. By those who knew them, they were described as precise, methodical, and above all, studious. Yet beneath their diligent surface lay a shared fascination with subjects that drifted beyond standard circuitry. In the early 1960s, Brazil saw a flourishing amateur electronics culture. Manuals and hand-copied schematics circulated among hobbyists, often mixing hard science with speculative concepts. Protective goggles, improvised from welding glass or layered film, were passed off as safeguards against intense light phenomenon. And within that fringe, hints of spiritualism, conversations about contact, energy, and the unexplained began to merge with technical curiosity. Manuel and Miguel seemed drawn to the edges where this boundary blurred. Scrawled in the margins of their notebooks were test times and calibration notes. Yet now and then, amid standard diagrams and parts lists, brief cryptic lines appeared. Coded schedules, references to masks, light exposure, and even entities or destinations not clearly defined. One entry referred to a scheduled elevation, written next to a date. In August of 1966, with calm deliberation, the two men departed Campos. They told colleagues they were heading to Niterói, a larger city across Guanabara Bay, to purchase electronic components. They wore formal suits, carried a modest amount of cash, and packed a few tools. But what truly stood out in retrospect was their certainty. Evidence suggests they believed something was going to occur, something precise, even measurable. An event, perhaps an experiment, at a fixed location and a fixed time, and they believed they knew how to be ready for it. Morro do Vintém. On a steep hillside above the city of Niterói, under the watchful clouds of August 1966, a boy searching for kites came across a scene that felt almost staged. The grass along the slopes of Morro do Vintém, still damp from recent rains, offered up two lifeless figures. They lay close together, motionless as if resting, but something was unmistakably wrong. Both men were dressed in formal suits, topped with slim raincoats. Their shoes were polished. Across their faces, crudely fashioned lead masks covered their eyes, mask-like slats of metal clearly cut by hand, likely from thin industrial sheet lead. These were not gas masks nor ceremonial in any obvious way. They were shields, purpose unknown. A few feet away, the remnants of their final hours lay scattered but strangely deliberate. A clear plastic raincoat, an empty glass bottle, a half-used packet of towels, and a small weather-stained notebook, perhaps the most curious item of all. Investigators would later pore over its pages. Most of it contained mundane entries, figures, calculations, inventory notes. But one page stood out. A cryptic schedule, written in Portuguese, spoke of being at a specified location at a set time and of ingesting capsules. It ended with the words, "After effect, protect metals, await signal mask." Rain had washed away any footprints that might have led up to the bodies. There were no signs of a scuffle, no evidence of robbery. Their wallets contained cash. Receipts showed they'd recently been in downtown Niterói. And there were no visible injuries, no wounds, no indication of violence. The coroner would later find no conclusive toxins, but the tests were limited for the time. According to archived police notes and search team reports, the entire scene felt frozen in time, serene but deeply unsettling. The hillside offered a wide, unobstructed view of Guanabara Bay, as if the men had positioned themselves to witness something arriving from above. Whatever led them there, whatever they hoped to encounter, left no residue but the masks and an open-ended question too strange to explain away. In the last known hours, investigators built their timeline with care, minute by minute, step by deliberate step. On August 17, 1966, Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel José Viana, both electronic technicians from Campos dos Goitacazes, boarded a bus bound for the coastal city of Niterói. Neither carried luggage beyond a simple bag. Their movements in the city would soon become the subject of intense scrutiny. They first visited a shop to buy waterproof coats. Curiously, the day had started dry. From there, they stopped at a local bar. The bartender later recalled them purchasing a bottle of mineral water and requesting a pair of towels, which they carried with them as they left. It's what stood out next that lingered in witness accounts. One of the men, anxious, constantly checking his watch. His eyes flicked toward the horizon, toward the rising hill line, as if time itself was closing in. As the afternoon darkened and a mist began to roll in from the sea, the two men were seen climbing Morro do Vintém. By then the sun was low, the clouds unsettled. They said little to those who noticed them, their pace steady despite the incoming weather. Later discovery of a small, handwritten notebook added new weight to the hours they'd lived before vanishing. The note was baffling. It referred to an appointed hour, to ingesting capsules, and to the donning of lead masks as part of some protective protocol. Protective against what? It did not say. The implication was clear. They anticipated an event they felt required shielding, possibly radiation or blinding light. Yet, despite an exhaustive sweep of the hill, no device was ever found. No instruments, transmitters, or scientific equipment accompanied them. Nothing capable of emitting light or energy that would call for eye protection. The capsules mentioned may have been drugs, sedatives to calm, stimulants to heighten the senses, or hallucinogens to elevate. Toxicology reports, however, came back inconclusive. Whatever they had expected on that hill, whether a vision, a signal, or something only they understood, it never left behind a trace science could name. Tests that yielded fog. When authorities arrived at the rain-washed hillside in Niterói, they found the two bodies as described, dressed identically, each wearing a custom-shaped lead mask that concealed the eyes. Police methodically documented the scene. Photographs captured the strange placidity of the men's expressions, the crude workmanship of the masks, and a nearby notebook whose contents would perplex investigators for decades. The bodies were transferred to the local coroner's office. But by the time the examinations began, crucial days had passed. Exposure and natural decomposition had already set in. According to coroner files, tissue samples were sparse, limiting the scope of possible tests. Toxicology in 1966, Brazil was not yet able to detect certain volatile or fast-evaporating compounds. As such, substances that might have dissipated within hours remained outside the reach of their analyses. No definitive toxic agent was identified. The lead masks themselves were examined in detail. Investigators noted they were hand-cut, edges irregular, the material likely scavenged from workshop scrap. Their texture and finish suggested a personal project rather than a manufactured item. Radiation tests turned up nothing unusual. These were not protective gear for a known hazardous process. As officers scanned the hillside for explanation, their notes recorded a lack of foreign footprints. There was no evidence of theft or struggle. The personal belongings, watches, wallets, tools remained undisturbed. Yet the strangeness deepened with the discovery of the notebook. Its pages blended mundane notations with abrupt, enigmatic instructions. Be at the determined place at 16:30, it read. Take capsules after the effect. Protect metals. Await signal. Written in a detached, utilitarian tone, the words could be interpreted as procedural steps or something else entirely. Local press seized on the mystery. Coverage from O Globo in late August 1966 paired technical curiosity with rumors circulating in the community, whispers of spiritualist meetings, and unexplained lights in the sky. Whether fabrication or folklore, these reports framed the case with a surreal undercurrent that no official findings could dispel. In the end, despite formal inquiries and on-the-ground searches, the files were closed without resolution. The cause of death remained unlisted. Forensics had reached the threshold of their tools and found only fog. That silence, what could not be explained, would become the story's most enduring signature. What could explain two masks in the strange weave of the lead mask's case? Every thread pulled unravels another. The puzzle has no center, only parts that seem to fit until they don't. One persistent theory suggests that the two men, Manuel Pereira de Cruz and Miguel José Viana, had embarked on a self-devised experiment involving psychoactive or toxic substances. The carefully itemized list of equipment, the chosen isolation of the hilltop, even the timing, all could point to a deliberate test, perhaps meant to induce a vision or experience. But this theory stumbles on a critical void. No traceable drug or compound was ever confirmed. Toxicology reports were inconclusive, and investigators found no capsules, no containers, nothing concrete left behind. Another explanation turns to spiritism, an occult practice that mirrored Brazil's cultural undercurrents in the 1960s. According to portions of the police file and media reports, such a belief system might account for the strange notes, phrases like ingest capsules and references to a signal to be received. The masks, too, could have served a symbolic or ritualistic function. But if this was a spiritual ritual, why the precision of tools? The electronic components, screwdrivers, even the protective waterproof coats, all suggest preparation beyond ceremony. Then there's the hypothesis of a covert electronics experiment. The men were both technicians, familiar with circuits and signal modulation. A planned test involving a high-voltage discharge or even radiation could justify the crude lead eye shields, perhaps to protect from a blinding arc. And yet, no equipment was found at the site. No power source, no wiring, no remnants of a device. Investigators searched the hillside meticulously, but if a test occurred, its workings vanished without trace. Foul play cannot be ruled out. Some posit that the men may have been deceived or poisoned by a third party. But here too, inconsistencies arise. The bodies showed no signs of struggle. Their belongings remained untouched, money, wristwatches, and even a small bag all left in place. If someone meant them harm, robbery was not the motive. The forensic path remained frustratingly inconclusive. Environmental anomalies have also been proposed. Sudden lightning strikes, noxious vapors rising from the earth, natural toxins, each has been floated, none confirmed. The scene lacked the telltale burns or biological markers one would expect. In the end, each theory clutches aspects of truth but cannot hold the full picture. They skate the edge of plausibility, never crossing fully into certainty. Something happened on that bluff above Niterói. The records hint, the gear implies, the silence echoes, but the case itself refuses to open any wider. The masks become the message. In the weeks that followed the grim discovery on Morro do Vintém, grief gave way to obsession. Families of the two men searched for clarity, reaching for answers from a story that had already begun slipping into myth. Closure, it seemed, was as elusive as the testing device that had never been found. Newspapers were relentless. They mapped out every detail, real or rumored, turning the quiet hillside into a place of uneasy pilgrimage. Curious readers became amateur investigators. Some trekked up the paths themselves, scanning the stony brush for anything overlooked by official searches. A buried device, remnants of a ritual, or perhaps just a hint of what the two technicians had hoped to encounter. Later reports circled back to the limitations in the coroner's files, where cause of death remained uncertain and toxicology results were at best inconclusive. Assertions based on receipts, timelines from the electronics store, and accounts of their final hours, such as the odd visit to a bar, were revisited again and again in columns and interviews. But the facts only grew more cryptic with repetition. And then there were the masks. Two slabs of lead, roughly shaped and eerily silent, became the most enduring relic of the case. In UFO circles, they took on symbolism, speculated to be eye shields for a celestial event that never came, or protection for contact with an unknown entity. Skeptics countered with more grounded theories, but could not explain everything. The light the men may have been preparing for, whatever it was, never arrived. The police archives preserved everything they could: photographs of the scene, copies of the strange note, observations scribbled in field notebooks. Revisiting them decades later, one finds diligence, but not resolution. Careful handwriting, precise commentary, but still only echoes. The men were eventually buried, their lives reduced to a case file, and yet their deaths transcended local headlines. Internationally, the lead masks case became the stuff of cautionary documentaries, late-night talk segments, and fringe theories. Their story was lifted, reassembled, and retold, fragment by fragment. What endures isn't the conclusion, but a question. If the instructions were so deliberate, why was the device, the signal, or the test missing? A protocol without an experiment. The enduring mystery of the lid masks case lies not in dramatic action, but in its careful planning. A protocol that suggests intention, yet leads nowhere. Miguel and Manuel marked the passage of time with logistical precision. Watches were synchronized. Instructions were jotted clearly. The place was chosen, a hillside above Niterói, quiet and remote. Lead masks, shaped precisely to fit over the eyes, lay beside them like props set for a scene whose performance never arrived. It reads now like the ghost of a scientific method. Every element hints at preparation: risks controlled, environment selected, personal danger mitigated. And yet the outcome offers no variables to study, no chain to reconstruct. The cryptic note found in one of their pockets: be at the specified location at 16:30. Take capsules after effect. Protect metals. Wait for mask signal. Suggest steps, but none that time or investigation has managed to validate. According to the coroner's report and toxicology records consulted after their discovery, no substances could be confirmed in their systems. No injuries, no signs of struggle, just two trained technicians lying in open grass with no clear cause. Their final expressions and the surrounding stillness offering no clue to what happened between note and outcome. Science in its essence is repeatable, yet the hill, the masks, the capsules, none of it ever returned in later reports. No similar cases appeared. It happened once and then it stopped, as if whatever experiment had begun was never meant to be finished. Or worse, never meant to be understood. In that gap between readiness and result remains a still tension, not of fear, but of enduring ambiguity, the kind of quiet that doesn't scream, but hums just beneath the surface, long after the scene is emptied. This has been Nightmare Nook, examining the 1966 lead masks case, a hillside, two masks, and instructions that led to silence. If the unknown interests you, stay with us for more careful descents into mysteries that refuse to close.